Well, you have been such a strong and well-spoken advocate for these issues, and chosen to use again your platform as Miss America. What would you hope folks like in Chautauqua County, hearing your messages, that it would leave them with, and would maybe prompt them to do?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is that the best way to prevent an overdose is to never start using a substance. And there's certain situations where you're faced with having to take a substance like an opioid because of a surgery, but minimizing your interaction with certain substances that can be really dangerous and have addiction potential can prevent a substance use disorder from occurring. Yes. Whether or not you're genetically predisposed, there's data that shows, especially with teens and young people, the earlier the age of initiation with a substance, the higher likelihood that that person has a long-term issue with substances. So a lot of the things that we can do in our communities is just preventing this from happening. Yes. By either protecting our children from using these substances, being the parent that's not cool, and making sure that your kids are in places that are not around substances. And even as a parent or an adult who's taking a medication, being aware of the risks and preventing yourself from falling into that. I think that that's my biggest message, because the best thing that we can do is prevent this from occurring rather than trying to deal with kind of the downstream effects. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. And those are important things to talk about, of course. But moving forward, I'd like to see those numbers have to go down because there's not as many people using.
Yeah, so well said. And it really makes me pleased to know how much of that sort of upstream, if you will, work is being done right here in Chautauqua County, and some of the partners that we work with are in schools, working with families when an addiction really hasn't developed, but maybe there's some patterns, and using real evidence-based interventions that aren't just a sort of wagging finger, don't do that, but really kind of helping that young person develop some skills and some confidence, etc., such that falling into those patterns is less likely. So
that's so important.
Well, like so many people I work with, and you've spent a lot of your time over the term of your reign as Miss America talking about these really kind of heavy and serious issues. What gives you hope as you look forward in these areas?
I think that for me, the number of people that I've gotten to collaborate with who also work on these same issues, who have used their platforms to advocate in such an important way. I've gotten to work with Dan Schneider, who's the pharmacist from the Netflix docuseries. And so even just that docuseries brought opioids right to the forefront. And that was right about when COVID was beginning. And I think that as we continue to talk about these things, more people become aware. And I mean, even just talking about awareness, one of the most hopeful things for me is when I'm able to actually see someone be like, oh, I didn't understand that, now I do. Right. That's what I hope that I continue to have happen on a larger scale, is that people start to understand these issues from a science perspective, which I think can inherently reduce stigma, because once you understand the brain chemistry of how this works, it becomes less of an, oh, that person's making a choice, and oh, that person actually has a compulsion to do something. The quantity of people that I've gotten to work with who are just as passionate about this that's hopeful for me.